City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Brathwaite.
Here.
Alderman Nguyen. Here. Alderman Wilson. Here. Alderman Holmes. Here. Alderman Tindem.
Here.
Alderman Rainey. Here. Alderman Miller.
Here.
Alderman Fisk. Here. 0.
We have a quorum. Welcome to the February 8th, 2016 meeting of the Evanston City Council. Who are we missing? Oh, Eleanor. Okay. First item on the agenda is the mayor's public announcements and proclamations. I am very sorry to say that former Alderman Jean Esch died on, I believe, Friday, and there will be a memorial mass for her at 10 a.m. Saturday at St. Mary's Church, 1012 Lake Street. She was an alderman for, do you know how many years, Ann? I think 4. 4 years. And she came to meetings long after she was done serving as an alderman, and she will be greatly missed. That concludes my report. City Manager, do you have a report?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of council. I have a few announcements this evening. The first is to introduce our new Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services, Mr. Lawrence Hemingway. Mr. Hemingway, if you could come up to the podium. Mr. Hemingway comes to us from, he was the Director of Parks and Recreation for Wayne County Parks in Westland, Michigan. He was selected from a very competitive process. The city is very proud to have him. He also had previous experience in the not-for-profit world and was also in the Parks and Recreation field with Detroit, Michigan, prior to being at Wayne County. So, Mr. Hemingway, thank you very much for being here with us. I had the great privilege of having lunch today with him. So, please, have we introduced everyone to you so far?
Not quite.
Who haven't we? All right, so Alderman Fisk,
Thank you.
please, any words that you'd like to say?
Well, yes. First of all, I would like to thank both Marty and Wally for this opportunity, and those of you who participated on the interview panel. I really do appreciate this opportunity. I'm very excited about learning about the City of Evanston and the Parks and Recreation and Community Services Department. Just today, my first day on the job, I already can tell so wonderful, wonderful staff. And so I look forward to learning the things and learning the community around here, as well as look forward to working with each and every single one of you as we try to move Evanston Parks and Recs to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Next, Madam Mayor, I have Carl Kaniva, who's going to give a short announcement about Women Out Walking for 2016.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I'm Carl Kaniva. I'm the Assistant Director of the Health and Human Services Department. I'm really excited to announce that WOW registration began last week. It's a really great program. It's a 12-week program to get people in Evanston more and more active. The focus of the program is obviously women in the community. Again, it's 12 weeks. We started registration last week. We are encouraging people to register online. It'll help us know about T-shirt sizes, and pedometers, and things, resources and registration for the kickoff, which is going to be March 19th at the Evanston Township High School. At that event, we'll have demonstrations, we'll have resources, and more resources for community members there, and we hope to have another successful year. Thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, Madam Mayor, just would like to give a brief update on the Howard Street Theater. Johanna Leonard is here to talk about where we are at with our next steps on the project. Johanna?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. Johanna Leonard, Economic Development Manager. As you recall, last September we came to Council to talk about authorizing the City Manager to spend up to $40,000 to work with an architect to design plans and get cost estimates for the development of a theater at 723 Howard Street. So from that point, we developed a request for proposals with the purchasing division and started a process to bring in firms that would be qualified to do that. And we had a walkthrough, a non-mandatory walkthrough on Howard Street after the RFP was issued. And I think it's noteworthy to point out that we had over 50 design, architecture, theater professionals from different firms at that walkthrough. From that, we received 12 responses of teams seeking to be the architect on this project. And from there, we interviewed 5 firms, 5 teams, the staff did, and selected Ross Barney Architects to be the firm that would work with the city. And we've put up some slides here. You may recognize some of their work because they were the architect that did the Levy Center. And then right across the street, they also did JRC. And then they did, other noteworthy works is they've had the Chicago Riverwalk. This is one of a few stations that they've worked on, the CTA stations. This is Cermak at McCormick Place. And this is a building at the Fermilab. So a lot of experience. They bring along with them, they bring Schuler Shook, which if you haven't ever Googled Schuler Shook, I recommend you do, because you'll find out that they're a wonderful Chicago-based firm that focuses on theater planning and architecture services. And they've worked in places like the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts in New York, the Civic Opera House here, the Boston Opera House, and Ravinia. So they know theater. So with this team, we feel very confident that we're going to get a design and a plan for Howard Street and return to you in a month or two with an update on that process and hopefully a cost estimate of what will be the next step. So I'm happy to entertain any questions.
That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Johanna. City Clerk, do you have communications?
No, Madam Mayor, not at this time.
All right, next on the agenda is public comment. You each have 3 minutes. First speaker is Mike Vasilko, then Lisa Pildes, and Judith Siegel.
Good evening. Mike Vasilko, 2728 Reese Avenue, Evanston. First, let me congratulate Alderman Rainey and the selection of architects Ross Barney. Architects for the theater project. At the outset, I do want to state that I continue to defend the idea of a theater on Howard Street and applaud the selection also of Straw Dog Theater Company for the future theater. The theater remains a classic example of potential strong economic development. And I don't want to speak tonight about any one firm's involvement in the review process, but I do need to reference the RFP, number 1566, which was for the architectural services for Howard Street. And I'm asking for clarification from the council and from the mayor specifically, I guess, regarding what liberties city staff has in executing a direction from the council. Memorandum item A3 from September 21st, and I might add the accurate and thorough reporting of the Daily Northwestern caused a lot of confusion in the bid process for the RFQ 15-66. Confusion that remains today. Staff never accurately answered a bidder's question whether or not the $40,000 maximum fee approved by council was in fact the maximum fee for the RFP bidders. As a result, the RFP process was corrupted and intentionally, I think, ambiguously provided information to the bidders. The action council approved on September 21st reads, staff recommends city council direct the city manager to seek bids for design and architectural services to develop conceptual and bid level drawings for Howard Street Theater to be located at 717, 723 Howard Street. Staff further recommends that the council authorize the city manager to spend up to $40,000 for these services provided by the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. The matter approves 7-2. And I take note, and I don't mean to single out Alderman Miller, but at that time, I know he kind of challenged spending $40,000 for that project, for the architectural services. Yet, he was convinced, I think, partly by city manager's recommendation that the $40,000 was a good investment. Alderman Miller and the others, including the public and some of the bidders, who may not be familiar with staff practices, may find they were misled because the total fee will now most likely be much more than $40,000. Without clear direction from the staff, where most were likely compelled to prepare proposals consistent with what was heard in this chamber, in other words, what you approved verbatim. Staff issued the RFP, as was just noted prior to my speaking, issued an RFP, not a bid request. I've learned recently what that language difference means. A bid request means staff is required to award to the lowest bidder.
Mr. Vasilka, I need you to wrap up. We will look into this.
Yeah, I have a few more things to say, but I would like you to look into it because language matters, as a previous speaker noted in planning and development. Words matter. I assume documents approved by the council, approved by all of the aldermen, mean something. So people invest a lot of time and energy and money, and when it's disregarded so that staff has the ability to manipulate it, I think that does need to be looked into.
Okay, you and I, excuse me, you and I will talk later.
Okay. I'll look forward to that.
Okay. Thank you. Lisa?
Lisa left.
Lisa left.
Yeah.
I think it's, well, Siegel. Judith Siegel, that's,
They were here for it.
they left.
8:31.
All right. Then Dexter Bailey? Yes.
My name is Dexter Bailey. I live at 2246 Ridge. And I wanted to bring to your attention, since I don't have an alderman, that
Sorry,
The-
you're stuck with the mayor for the moment.
yes, but hopefully she'll be sworn in on the
Yeah,
22nd.
she will be.
And we can get further with it. But I'm here today about the National Towel Service on Ridge, 1825 Ridge. And I think all the I've emailed a couple of the aldermen, but I'm sure you're all aware, or you may be aware, that there's a development there for senior housing. And I had hoped, since there was originally a street there, that there would be an opportunity to have a bike lane go across the back of the property. I know that we have great east-west, thanks to you, we have great east-west bike situation, but because of the railroad and the way the streets run, it's difficult to go north and south. And I think the extension of Oak Street is a great way to get back onto Ridge, as opposed to Asbury that runs into a dead end, and Maple that runs into a dead end as far as north-south streets are concerned. And I think the only time to do that is when the property is being developed and when we have some opportunity for input. As I understand it, a couple of pieces of property are going to be conveyed to the owners of the National Towel Service, similar to this conveying of the whole street to them many years ago. And I hope maybe either an easement could be had across the back, or there could be a swap of some of that property for a wide enough right-of-way across the back to allow for a bike lane. I know there's a lot of issues with the change in the way Ridge runs and the way the two streets, Ridge and Green Bay, come together. And this might be a part of a solution that would certainly keep us greener and allow both senior citizens who may be living in this development and those of us who bike and walk to be able to use the back of that property to get from one side to the other. Thank you.
Alderman Braithwaite, do you have a question?
Well, just to invite you out, we're having a neighborhood meeting at Mount Zion Church Wednesday, 7 o'clock. I invite you to attend and share your thoughts then.
I hope I can make it. And,
I hope so, too.
I just wanted to make you all aware of the
Crystal clear.
situation.
Thank you.
Madeline Ducray.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Madeline Ducree. Just a few things. I wanted to mention that, as you all probably know, Dr. Logan will be speaking at having a town hall meeting Tuesday, February the 23rd at the Levy Center, and training the Evanston Police Department. And I believe this will be very beneficial to all residents in Evanston, and I'm hoping that maybe the community would have some input somewhere, somehow, down the road. Also, I discovered that the taser issue was discussed earlier, and goodness knows, I think the community should have had an input on that before action was taken. But since it was not done, I'm hoping that the chief, I don't know if the chief is still here or not, I was hoping that the chief would have a say on the tasers, give us a lot more information than just the taser saving a life without using the gun, because lives are taken with the taser gun. I think I mentioned this before several years ago. Time passed fast. Maybe it was 2 or 3, I'm not sure. We need more information. Also, our group, CNP, Betty Esther, the chairperson, sent out a message, I think emails to the mayor and to all the person, I think. You didn't get any? You saying that? Okay. Can we get through to you? I tried to get on yours and it didn't work. But anyway, I'm using my time. I'll talk to you later. But your meetings. But anyway, she sent out an email to most aldermen here and asking that the community have an input on that. And also the CNEF, which is the Colored Network for Equality and Fairness. I also, and I'm asking that that be done too, if possible. I also wanted to bring up about the Cook County Sheriff Department. Officer O'Donnell have gotten in touch with me several times, and I have tried to reach him several times. And they have come to the conclusion that we must have a witness, not a witness, the person must sign a complaint. That person, from my understanding, at this time, frustrated. He was harassed, he said. He did not want to come forward. So I'm asking anyone out there who witnessed this, please come forward.
Ms. Ducray,
Thank you,
to
and that's all I have to say
Thank you
tonight.
very much.
Thank you.
Priscilla Giles.
Priscilla Giles. I passed the new sports arena building on Oakland Street almost without seeing it, wondering if all the snow from the recent snow had been brought there, but it was not. So it was the sports center. Very nice looking building. I was able to make a circular drive and go in and out, and whether it was financed by the city or not, they had to have a permit to have that building built. The bicycle and the walking ramp along McCormick has been paved. It appears to have been shoveled and salted. We still don't have any kind of circular drive. It was taken away at Fleetwood Jourdain. So it seems that the 5th Ward is the stepchild of the 9 wards. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes citizen comment. Alderman Rainey, could we have the consent agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lyons, I don't have the new numbers.
Would you like me to read it when you get to it? or-
Okay. I'll pause and you jump in. Consent agenda. Thank you, Madam Mayor. We ask your approval of the minutes of the council meeting of January 19 and January 25. The Administration and Public Works Committee met this evening, and we ask your approval of the payroll through the January 24, the amount of $3,100,467.46. The City of Evanston bills for 2015 through February 9, $1,814,935.53. The bills from 2016 through February 9.
Madam
Total
Mayor,
amount is
Madam Mayor, members of council, we have adjusted that number down by $19,500 to reflect the hold on payments to Dr. Logan, and it just has to do with timing. Some of the services have not yet been provided, so one of them is Town Hall. So we have another meeting at the end of the month. We will bring forward bills at the appropriate time, but that was for $19,500, so the new amount is $2,120,140.75.
Thank you very much. Credit card activity ending December 31, $192,972.45. The committee asks your approval for the 2016 fuel purchases from Mansfield Oil in the amount of $780,000. This is the municipal conference bid winner for all of our fuel. Next is approval of a single source purchase of Ford parts and vehicle service from Gulf Mill Ford in the amount of $75,500. This goes through March 2017. We ask approval also of a renewal for the annual Harley-Davidson lease agreement with City Limits Harley-Davidson for the Evanston Police Department for 7 leased motorcycles in the amount of $33,075. This runs through May 31, 2017. Approval is requested also of a renewal of a contract with Havey Communications for emergency lighting and sirens in the amount of $97,185. Approval is requested for a contract with CTL Group for the Church Street and Maple Avenue Garage Repair Project in the amount of $111,100. We ask your approval of a contract with Road Safe Traffic Systems for street sweeping and snow signage in the amount of $84,800. This also includes their installing all the signs throughout the city. Approval is also requested for Solid Waste Agency of Northern Cook County disposal fees for 2016 in the not-to-exceed amount of $784,000. Approval is requested for the estimated annual user charge for 2016 with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago for disposal of sludge generated as part of the water treatment process in the amount of $122,100 $621.59. We ask you approve the renewal of the service provider agreement with Presence Behavioral Health. Did whoever asked about this, did you get an answer? You asked for a memo, okay. Approval, renewal of the service provider agreement with Presence Behavioral Health in the City of Evanston for the provision of 24-hour crisis line access, mental health intervention, and various community outreach and educational services at the cost of $73,333.33 through December 31, 2016. Resolution 13R16 authorizes the city manager to enter into 2 new 10-month tenant lease agreements with Paul Broman and Christy Klug for studio space at Noyes Cultural Arts Center. We ask approval to introduce Ordinance 12016, authorizing the city to borrow funds from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency Public Water Supply Loan Program for the construction of water treatment plant reliability improvements. This ordinance authorizes the city to borrow up to $2,245,000. The following A6, A7, having to do with advanced disposal agreements and termination of agreements, and Ordinance 8016, which repeals previous ordinances having to do with the transfer station, are being held and will be discussed by the committee chair. Planning and Development Committee met this evening. Ordinance 16016, the 831 Emerson project is being held in committee and will be addressed by the committee chair. Ordinance 11016 amends Ordinance 119015 to alter approved building location for a 70-foot concrete plant enclosure for Ozinga RMC at 2525 Oakton Street. This is for action.
Alderman Rainey, could you remove P3, please?
Yes, ma'am. P3 is off the consent agenda and will be addressed by the committee chair. Ordinance 154015, a zoning ordinance text amendment having to do with automobile rental and recreational vehicle sales and truck rentals, is for action this evening. Under Economic Development Committee, we ask your approval of storefront modernization program application for Boltwood at 804 Davis Street in an amount not to exceed $3,885 for the installation of new signage on a 50-50 cost-sharing basis. Approval is also requested for the applications for the Evanston Great Merchants Grant Program, totaling $36,900 for Evanston West End Business Association, $9,000 for Central Street Business Association, Hills Art and Howard Street Business Association also requesting $9,000. Madam Mayor has recommended appointments to the Compensation Committee. Susan Calder, Todd Keem, Robin Simmons, and Alvin Telzer. To the Firefighter Pension Board, Alex Granchek. MWEBE Development Committee, Joshua Gutstein. And to the Utilities Commission, Carl Bova. Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to pass the consent agenda. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Brathwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen. Aye. Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk.
8-0, the consent agenda passes. The plan is to go into executive session, and then we'd have to come back to discuss P. So that's what I was going to suggest. But so it would be possible to discuss P3 now. I don't think it should be a lengthy discussion. Alderman Fisk.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. At the previous meeting, Alderman Nguyen and I had asked for for Northwestern to review the landscaping plan, and thank you very much. They've done that. Did you want to come up and just quickly say what changes you've made?
Quickly would be wonderful.
It's in front of us. We have.
I didn't mean you had to run. I was thinking of the verbiage.
Charles Davidson, Northwestern University. Thank you. Yes, since our previous application to P&D and our submission, we were asked to increase our landscaping. We have, I would say, roughly just shortly doubled it. We were fortunate enough to find some trees on campus, which we will transplant, which are very mature trees, and that was what we submitted to you. Anything else?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Perfectly brief. Thank you. All right, Alderman Fisk? Is that? Oh, Alderman Rainey.
I read that, and I was very impressed by your efforts there. And I just wanted to say, for anybody who has qualms about transplanting what I call Christmas trees, big blue spruces and pine trees, we did that when we built the Levy Center, and we transplanted an entire grove of those kinds of trees, evergreens, and they are just exquisite today. They just really took off, and there was absolutely no loss. So it can happen.
Thank you. Now, has it been moved and seconded to pass this ordinance? Or would someone like to?
It is not. I will move the ordinance 10016, granting a special use for a baseball scoreboard at Rocky Miller Park and a softball scoreboard at Sharon Drysdale Field at 1501 Central Street. This is for action.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you, Mr. Chairman of the committee. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Brathwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen. Aye. Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk.
8-0, the motion passes. Alderman Wilson, do you have a motion for us?
I do now. Thank you. Pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes, ILCS 120/2A, I move that the City Council convene into executive session to discuss agenda items regarding security procedures, litigation, reserves, and informant sources. These agenda items are permitted subjects to be considered in an executive session and are enumerated exceptions under the Open Meetings Act. These exceptions are 5 ILCS 120/2A, C8, C11, C12, and C14.
Everyone who agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.